Hey, it's Mirella Manelli, and today I'm super excited because I'm going to be doing a full hybrid weft installation using Donna Bella's brand new balayage wefts. They come in 5 different shades, giving you the ultimate customization. But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you don't miss a video. Now let's go ahead and get started. My client today would really love to add in some length as well as some density, and I really think adding in a few rows of hybrid weft extensions is perfect for her. Now, she does have a balayage technique applied onto her hair, as well as she has a really fun little blonde panel here, which we want to enhance and add some length because it's not quite as long as the rest of her hair. So this is where we're going to do a little bit of customization. I'm really excited that Donna Bella came out with their balayage wefts because, like most of our clients, we're seeing lots of clients have multiple colors in their hair, and this just makes it so easy to color match, as well as you can customize the color using demi-permanent, of course, which is exactly what we did for my client today. So first things first, we're going to color match my model. What we've decided here, she's got this really gorgeous base here, and this is why I love these brand new wefts, because they give you the options of really dark or a little lighter at the base and really blending into multiple different shades. But as you can see here, this balayage 2 into color 610 matches her beautifully. So this color 2 is blending in with that base color. We want to make sure we match that. And anytime you're blending or color matching extensions, you want to make sure it blends in with those ends. And I really feel like it does a great job of blending in. However, for this color 610 that's balayage on the ends, we just want to warm it up just a little bit. So I did custom color demi-permanent with a warmer shade for just 5 to 10 minutes, just to kind of give it a little kiss of that warmth. Now let's go ahead and get started with her sectioning.
The first thing that I do is start out by feeling my client's head shape. I kind of want to know exactly where the roundness of her head starts. And because hair extensions is a very visual as well as technical application, I start out by just creating a rough sectioning. Now this is going to kind of tell me a couple of things. It's going to show me the actual shape of her head, exactly where her divots are, and where exactly that first weft can actually realistically live. So this is just me doing my comb over test, seeing how much deeper I need to make my section, because we don't want to expose any of the point of contacts like the beads or the weft. So if she pulls her hair up, we want to make sure that those are completely invisible. So once I have a general idea, I then go ahead and clean that section up. I then do one more rat tail hair over comb test, because this is going to tell me where exactly the first bead should live. And basically when you see the rat tail comb kind of poking through the hair, that's kind of where you know that you need to section it off. And once I have that section completely cleaned up, this is just a little hair hack for me. I love using hairspray just to kind of keep all of those flyaways at bay. And then from there, I'm going to install my silicone beads. Now, silicone beads do a couple of things and are 100% necessary when doing a hybrid weft install. But basically, the silicone beads is the gentlest bead option there is. And it's because it's an aluminum bead that's also lined with the soft, supple silicone inside. And these specifically from Donna Bella don't really fade or rust, which is why I really like them. So they last a really long time. And overall, when you're installing these, you want to make sure that you have a full range of motion, meaning you can flip this hair up or down and side to side so it's nice and comfortably installed on their hair. Now, once you have all of your silicone beads installed for your row, this is where you're going to take your hybrid weft and start measuring. So I always measure from end to end of the actual section, not from bead to bead. So that's really important. And for this very first row, I'm actually going to triple up my weft so we can create enough density, because her hair is pretty short compared to these 22-inch extensions. So I want to make sure that I'm adding enough density for her. So I think this is a perfect amount of hair to add right here on the very bottom. So once I have it all measured out in one singular weft, I am now going to line it up right on top of the section with tons of clips and basically just fold over my weft. So that way I'm going to have a really seamless and easy install. So you can see I have lots of clips, and pretty much there is a clip in between each of my silicone beads. So this is just a good placeholder and indicator for myself. Now you want to make sure that your thread is matching closest to the base of your hair extension. So I'm going to be using this dark brown thread. And to get started, I am going to work 2 beads back. I'm starting there because I want to create an anchor stitch for the very 2 end beads. This is because the hair extensions overall does create a little bit of extra weight that your hair is not used to, and this is going to create a secure install and the best longevity possible. So I do start 2 beads in and then work towards the exterior, and then I start sewing right back in. So what this does is basically double up my sew in for those 2 beads on the exterior. For even more extra security, you'll also notice that I personally like to double up my thread, and sometimes I even use it to loop that needle right between each of the threads to create even more security. It just kind of like locks the thread in place. It's like not going to go anywhere. Once I get to the end here, I am going to do a lock stitch, and then I'm going to loop the thread 3 times around my needle and just gradually guide down that thread, creating a knot. And you want to make sure that that knot is really, really close there. And from there, I just kind of fine tune the edges, kind of round them out so it's nice and comfortable for my client. And this is what it looks like for my very first row. You can see she's going to pull her hair up. We have lots of flexibility. We can't see the weft, and that's exactly what you want it to look like. So once I have that first row install, it's going to create that density and weight towards the bottom. Now I'm going to work in the interior. You can see here I have a nice rounded shape. Again, I started out with feeling her head. I wanted to make sure that it fits comfortably almost in that like a halo shape for her. And I want to start far enough back so that way the beads are not visible. A little added tip when you're installing your silicone beads to avoid getting those little baby hairs or crosshairs inside another bead. Not only do you want to use the hairspray, but I find that taking my loop tool really close to the base is what's really going to help fit all of those little tiny baby hairs inside of that bead. And again, it's just going to avoid those crosshairs. Overall, you just want a super clean section. Once again, we're going to measure this all out, but can we just appreciate the beautiful, gorgeous blend that these balayage wefts have? I mean, it's literally blending in seamlessly with her color. I'm like obsessed with these wefts because, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, it just made my installation so much easier. There was very little coloring that I had to do. Once I have my weft secured with plenty of clips, still taking on that same strategy here of having each of the clips in between each of these beads here, I'm going to start 3 beads back. And here's a really close-up shot of how I looped the thread in between the thread. And it's just a simple knot on the end. This is like literally the easiest hack you could possibly do to kind of get your weft started. I also kind of left this in too. So if you do double up your thread, sometimes you'll get a little bit of bubbling, but all you're going to do is open up the thread there and just kind of pull it apart a little bit just to level it up once again. And this usually happens because the thread is so long, and that's the only time that I find that it does bubble up a little bit, but it's not all of the time. So just a little hack there, just, gently guide it through and, make sure that it is leveled and you're pulling the thread up and away from the head in order to make sure that you're securing it properly, and that also your thread is going to line up towards the top. That's exactly where you want that lock to live. You don't want it to be hanging over the weft. That's where it starts to kind of get saggy and it's a little too loose, and your client's going to be bothering you in about 2 weeks to adjust and move it up. So make sure you understand your body position as well as your hand position in order to make sure that that thread is securely stitched in its proper place. So a couple of tips. If you want the easiest move up appointment possible for the future, always make sure that you're sewing on the right side and the left side of the bead. You never want to sew right in between that bead. And the reason for that is because you're going to have a very difficult move up the next time she comes in about 6 weeks. You want this placement to last you at least one appointment before you have to remove it and do a reinstall. Another really important tip is anytime you are doing a hair extension install, no matter how many years you've been doing this, you always want to ask your client how comfortable the stitch feels. So usually if there is a crosshair or something's just not feeling right, I'd rather them tell me in that moment because I can fix it in that exact moment because it's usually right around the area you're working with. The worst thing that could happen is you've done a full install and they're telling you that the middle of their weft is really bothering them. So this is why it's so important that every few stitches you're like, hey, how's it going? How's it feel? And that way you can ensure that you have the proper amount of tension and that it's comfortable for your client. These extensions should not feel uncomfortable or super tight even in the first week. You definitely want to explain to your client that you will feel them and it'll be an adjustment period for how they feel on the head, but it should not be giving them headaches or causing any pain whatsoever. Now that I've gotten to the end, I'm going to start working towards the interior, but I want to make sure that I secure the very edge as close as possible, but I'm also not too worried about the little flappy flap because I can also adjust it and trim it down if necessary and just get kind of close and also kind of round out the edge a little bit. You just want to be really cautious of where the thread is living. And then once I work into the interior on the second bead, I'm just going to loop my needle through one side of the bead and then loop the thread 3 times and make my knot. And then just for extra security, I do 3 more additional knots just to make sure this is not going to unravel or go anywhere. And then you just take your stork shears and cut it really, really close and you got a really seamless blend and install. So generally this is where I would stop and then start my blending and cutting. However, she does have those blonde pieces on the side. So I want to add that pop of blonde for her. So I'm going to take my hybrid weft up a little higher here, but I'm going to install it right on the very lowest section where her blonde starts. And for this installation, I'm using a much lighter bead here. So this is the light blonde beads. And you can see this is going to be a really tiny weft, but that's totally okay. This is where the customization and the fun kind of starts to happen. So I'm only inserting 4 silicone beads. So again, you always want to make sure that your beads and thread match the base of your hair. So this is a 22-inch half pack of color 60. And I'm going to sew this in exactly the same here. So nothing super complicated. It's just a little tiny weft. And this is what makes hair extensions so fun. I did give her the option of doing some care links and also some eye links, but she just prefers the weft. This is what she wanted. So we only added in a doubled up weft here, again, just for that added pop. And I actually loved how this turned out. It looked really, really beautiful. You'll see how really pretty this ended up looking. I mean, honestly, the balayage wefts is really the winner here because I just had to barely just give this a little kiss of warmth to match her hair perfectly. Like you literally could not tell that she had extensions once I was all done. Now here comes the fun part, or the part that really scares a lot of stylists. We have this gorgeous install, but now we need to blend this into her hair. And what I would say to that is don't overcomplicate your cutting. You're going to cut extensions a lot differently than you would a traditional head of hair. And the reason for that is because it is very visual. So I like to always just kind of comb it back and start outlining the shape on the perimeter. And then from there, I'm going to take my texturizers. Those are going to be like your best friend because this is the best way that you can make the hair look super natural on the ends without it looking super bulky, but also not removing all of that weight and density that we just added in. Let me know down below if you like hair tutorials like this, or maybe you want a more detailed version of how to cut and blend hair extensions, or maybe you want to learn how to install and customize them for your client in person. I do have some educational classes coming up, so make sure you check out the links down below. Now I'm just finishing up her hairstyle. I always like to curl my hair extensions because everybody loves them curled. And the number one question I always get asked is what curling irons do I use? I love these T3 single pass curling irons. I believe this one is a 1 1/4 inch, or maybe it's a 1.5. I'm not quite sure. I do have a ton of different sizes, and I also like my little wand that's like a wand trio, which is a really popular one. Once I have her curls in, I'm now going to finish her off with Kenra Professional Spray Clay. I just love this product because it adds a little bit of texture and has amazing hold. And I'm already like totally loving this blend, but let's check it outside in natural indirect light. Look at this blend, you guys. You cannot tell that these are hair extensions like at all. 100% blends in with the color and everything. I'm just like so obsessed. Even those little blonde pieces on the side. And now let's just check out her little side by side. Look at how much length and density we added. I always love doing these little before and afters side by sides because you really get to see the amount of impact. However, the lighting isn't always the same because it's a different time of day, but I think I nailed this look. What do you guys think? Let me know down below what you think about this look. And then here's a little closer of that little pop of blonde here we got on the side to just kind of like wrap up her style. I'm so obsessed with this. If you want to check out or learn more about Donna Bella Hair and these balayage wefts, make sure you head on over to donnabellahair.com. And then also make sure to use my special coupon code, which is just my name, Mirella, and you'll save 10%.
So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. And if you want free education sent right to your inbox, be sure to head on over to morellamanelli.com and sign up for my newsletter. If you're a hairstylist, salon owner, or beauty professional that enjoys listening to podcasts and wants a little bit of business advice, be sure to listen in on Hair B&B. It's a podcast all about hair, beauty, and business, and it's also now launching on YouTube. To learn more about social media marketing and how to elevate your biz as a beauty pro, be sure to join me in Beyond the Chair Mastermind. It's a monthly group community coaching session where I help hairstylists just like you monetize, grow their social media, work with brands, become an educator, and so much more. And to learn about all the different ways on how you can work with me or join my membership channel right here on YouTube, you can check out the links down below. And finally, be sure to check out my other hair tutorials right here on this channel, and I will see you in the next video.